right, welcome to today's talk. So, we're kicking off my series on program design, and there's a lot of different things I could have picked to start that with. I decided to start with rep brackets, so that's what we're going to talk about today. And then I've got other videos planned. So, some of the terms I use today, if they don't make sense, don't worry about it. Just subscribe and plug in. We'll be going over a lot of things over the next several videos. So, today, what we're going to cover just rep brackets. So we're going to define what a rep bracket is. Number two, we're going to talk about what a rep bracket means for programming, why they're important. Number three, we're going to talk about the two most common mistakes many trainees make with rep brackets. Number four, we're going to talk about how a rep bracket should work. And finally, number five, we're going to finish with how often we should change rep brackets or rotate strength qualities. So, what is a rep bracket? Very simply, a rep bracket is just a designation of normally something like 10 to 12 reps, 6 to 8 reps. Typically, it's a 3-rep spread. An exception to that is when we're looking at strength endurance, you'll see 15 to 20 reps a lot. Once we get to 15 reps and above, it's pretty much all strength endurance. So I'm speaking in general terms. We can break all the kind of broad qualifications of strength qualities down into different niches. We're not getting into niches right now. We're just laying down basic principles. So as long as we are working in the rep bracket, whatever it is, we are training the strength quality we have decided to improve, which brings us to point number two. So point number two is what a rep bracket means for programming. Okay, basically, it's just a way of organizing the strength quality we're improving. Keep in mind I should say keep in mind, you don't know this, but for today's purpose, we're talking mostly about your first series exercises, like your A series exercise, like A, possibly B, not so much exercises further down the list like C and D. And again, we got a lot of videos coming, we'll get more into that later. Now, when we're selecting a rep bracket or strength quality, that needs to be based off of our client's goals and their background, their training history, their training age. I'm going to do another video about training age, but just keeping it simple. If they're a novice, they're going to respond really well to very simple programming and very basic programming. They don't need advanced programming. If they have a lot of fast twitch fibers and or they're very experienced, they might need more kind of niche programming. But again, we'll come back to that. Giving a simple example of how the client goal dictates the training. If you have one client who's preparing for a really long hike, like a 20-mile hike, like I knew a girl a few years ago who went to hike the Appalachian Trail. That took her several months. I think people can spend, I'm not sure now, but I think they can spend as much as 6 months doing that, possibly longer, depending if they go all the way and they go all the way back. And then if you have another client who wants to do maybe a double body weight deadlift, those are two real different goals. Now, one person might have both those goals, and that's fine. And in the course of a training year or a couple of years, they might strive towards both those things. But most likely, you're not trying to improve their deadlift dramatically and prepare them for a 20-mile hike at the same time. Now, point number three, the two mistakes many trainees make with rep brackets. The first time I ran into this, it surprised me, but it is a thing. So if I have like 10 to 12 reps, some people think, I guess, more is better, so they think 12 reps is the goal. That's not the case. As long as they're in the rep bracket, they're improving the strength quality we're trying to train. So it doesn't matter if they get 10 reps, 11 reps, or 12 reps, it's still in that rep bracket. So as long as the load is appropriate for the reps and their form is perfect, they're still improving there. So it doesn't matter if it's 12 or 10, except for progression, which we'll get to in the next point. So the top end of the bracket is not the goal. We're just working in the bracket. Along those lines, the second mistake that I see quite a bit is, again, let's say someone's doing 10 reps. Let's say they do like 100 pounds for 10 sets of three. And then the next time they come back to that workout, they want to go up in weight. And I would argue that they're not ready to go up in weight because there's still room to improve with 100 pounds in that rep bracket. So the way you apply that is taking us to point number four. So this is how our rep bracket should work. 10 to 12 reps, we use 100 pounds, we get 10 reps. So in the first place, let's say that the trainee does 100 reps for 10 and 100 reps for 10. Then on that third set, they only get 8 reps. They're definitely not ready to go up. They need to repeat that. So the next time they come around to that workout, they need to try to get 100 for 10, 100 for 10, and 100 for 10. They're still not ready to go up because then if that workout comes around again or something very similar, they should go for 100 pounds for 11 reps, 100 pounds for 11 reps, and 100 pounds for 11 reps. And they're still not ready to go up. So at that point, if they get that, then the next time it comes around, they can do 100 pounds for 12 reps, 100 pounds for 12 reps, and 100 pounds for 12 reps. At that point, they've probably maximized what they're going to do with that weight in that rep bracket, and they're ready to either change to a different phase or go up in weight. Now, if they go up in weight, it shouldn't be a ginormous jump. So if you go from like 100 pounds to 150 pounds, 100 pounds wasn't heavy enough. With the possible exception of if they're a brand new trainee or they've had a really long break, which also brings your training age down, and they're improving their what's called intramuscular coordination to the point to where they seem to make big strength gains. That's a different topic. We'll do another video on that. But for the most part, if the load is appropriate when they're working through that rep bracket, your increases should be quite small. So you should be looking at like a 2.5 to 5 pound, I'm sorry, a 2.5 to 5% increase in load. And the stronger someone is, the less that's going to be. So if you have someone who's not very strong, 5% might be fine. So I might bump them up to 105 pounds. In this example, we come back down to the bottom of the rep bracket and we're going for 10 reps again. We don't do 100 pounds for 12 reps for 3 sets and then bump up the weight and try and get 12 sets again. You bring it back down. You work up to a peak, you back off a little bit. This is how you make sustained progress. Now, my last point for this talk, which has probably been longer than I wanted it to be. How often do we change rep brackets? This should be completely, there's a lot of sarcastic answers I could give here. Until you get bored, don't do that. If the client gets bored, that is actually an indication that they've adapted, which is my first kind of sub point here. They should be on that phase until they adapt to it. And that is going to vary a lot depending on the trainee. So someone with a very low training age, meaning they're a novice, they might be on the same program for a while because it takes them longer to adapt. Now, as their training age increases, they're probably going to adapt faster. It just depends on how good their nervous system is, what their background is. Someone who has played a lot of sports, maybe when they were younger, even if they come in sort of at a novice level because they've had a long break, they're probably still going to have a good nervous system. They're going to adapt fast. People that have a dance background, I have found people with a dance background, they tend to adapt very quickly. They pick things up very fast. They have fantastic proprioception. They have really good nervous systems. They might need more training variety. Different topic. I almost went down a rabbit trail. The last thing I want to point out on this fifth point of how often we should change rep brackets is when you're programming, you have to understand that the thing people adapt to the fastest is the strength quality they train. So even if someone's goals are real specific to a certain strength quality, if you stay in that strength quality all the time, they're going to stagnate. You have to kind of work around it and build back to it. And again, we're going to do more videos. We'll get more specific. So those are my 5 points about rep brackets, just introducing the subject. If you have questions, post them. Thanks for watching. Remember, little things add up. Go lift.